honestly, it's the extrinsic motivation. I can only take myself so far. And I am doing this for myself, but I'm working with somebody, and I don't want to I don't want to fail them or fail you. I'm also doing this to be healthy with my wife, so I don't want to fail her.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Truth Talks, the podcast that gives you real strategies for sustainable fitness transformation. And today we have one of our clients on here, John. Now, I'm really excited for this episode. You might have actually listened to his partner's episode with Rachel, which is a really good one. So we were joking with Rachel. We're like, okay, this is a competition. Who has the best insights, for the listeners? But how you doing, John, today? How you feeling?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. This is, just November month, so it's pretty much like that focus month where the weather is not great enough to go outside. So it's like hit the gym, do the work, do the steps in the condo building instead of going outside. So yeah, I can't complain whatsoever. But yeah, I want to really talk a lot about your journey in terms of like where you started and up to where you're at right now. So because you're like a really active person outside of the gym as well, right? And your step count is always like super high. In the summer, you like to do biking, you like to do other activities, and some of your inspiration for actually starting this journey was to be better at some of those activities like hiking. So kind of before we go to that, I want to start maybe, what was your intro into just fitness in general? Like, was there a specific moment where you start taking it more seriously, or like, how did you even get into wanting to, develop your fitness?
Well, high school really, because I took a weight training class. Um, we had a gym teacher, Mr. McCann, who was like he's the size of a gorilla. He's huge, but he was also like a really cool guy and really funny. And I wanted to be in his class, and so he did this weight training class, and that's kind of where it started. I wasn't really super active as a kid. Like I didn't play a lot of sports. I could never really amount to sports. I tried lacrosse, I tried soccer, I tried baseball, and I just didn't work for me. And so when I went to that class, I met a few other like people, and we started like working out. But I really like biking. Biking was like the one thing that I would like kept with me like from a kid to now. I always like biking,
Okay.
so I've always had that. And so that's kind of where I'd say it started.
Okay. No, that's great. And then up until the point where we started working together, how would you describe like your kind of fitness situation, and that journey? Like, where were you at before we started?
A lot of ups and downs. Uh, as you know, I had a dog walking business, right? So I was doing 20 to 30,000 steps a day when I was doing that in Toronto, and I had that for 4 years. So before now, I'd say that was probably the best shape I had been in, just because of the amount of walking I just literally had to do. Like you're walking 4 packs of dogs 4 times a day, and so you're doing
Jeez.
sorry, yeah, you've got 4 packs of
Yeah.
dogs in a day, and they're like an hour long walk. So you're doing so many steps. Then you come home and you have to walk your own dog, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I was very fit, although I wasn't really muscular. I was basically in shape enough to hold back, 6 leashes when I needed to. But other than that, I couldn't really stick with it. Like every time I tried, I take the fundamentals that I learned from the weight training class, and I was never able to keep a solid routine. And then just before and during COVID, we signed up for like this CrossFit. No, it was CrossFit. It was just like a group fitness classes. It wasn't as intense as CrossFit, but they were so much fun. And then COVID hit, and then everything kind of had to change, and we had to alter how we worked out together as the groups. And, we moved ultimately, and then we stopped doing that. So, but then after when I stopped dog walking, I was struggling a fair amount. I was able to keep that stamina of walking. It's like, we went on our road trip and we were doing crazy hikes, and I was generally fine. But I think for me, it was just like, I could never really control how much I ate. So that was
Okay.
always the hardest thing for me. So fitness was like, okay, but just before we started working together, I'd say I was probably at my heaviest.
Okay. Which is funny because your nutrition adherence is actually pretty good. Like on the spectrum of like someone that really struggles, with falling within the ranges that we have, to like always crushing with the ranges. Like you're higher on the spectrum. So it's interesting that that was a thing. I think for you, you need to know what you need to do. Like as my coach, something I've noticed from you is like you just need to know like these are the things that you need to check off for me. And like
Yeah.
once you have that in your mind and it's almost like tasks and you know why, then I feel like you're the type of guy that can execute it. I feel like maybe you just didn't kind of know, so you're like, it's whatever, if you don't mind me saying,
Yeah.
like maybe that was it.
You lead me to my devices and I'll go buy a tub of sour keys. It's kind of how it is.
Sour.
Oh man, they're the best. Let's not talk
Yeah.
about those.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm kind of curious to hear this. What was your expectation when we first started of like what you were going to get out of the process or what you wanted to see? Like before you started, where you're like, all right, there's this random guy on the internet. He might know what he's talking about. Maybe he doesn't. Like, what were your expectation on what was going to happen when we even started with your body, I guess?
Um, well, Rachel was following you and Truth for a while, and she had tried another coach, and she had really good success with them. But she wanted to try another coach, and she's like, John, I really want to try these guys. I'm like, okay, go for it. You do it. And she's like, I want you to do it with me. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll try it. Um, I'm a pretty if the right word is ambivalent, I'm a pretty ambivalent person when it comes to things. I try not to enter things with too much expectation. I don't know if it's fear of failure or whatnot, but I try generally not to enter things. So it was more like an experiment to see if I could do it.
Okay.
That was more how and I don't know if you picked up on that, because like some of our beginning conversations, you're like, what do you want to see out of it? I'm like, I can't answer that. I'll know when I see it, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So that was, Rachel, my wife, really, really just pushed me to do this with her, and that's kind of how I started this. No true expectation. I just wanted to see myself in better shape than I was at that current time, and that was like the biggest reason why I started.
Nice. I like that your partner is somebody who it does push you to be better, because unfortunately sometimes I do see the opposite, where one partner drags the other one kind of down into maybe poor habits or a poor lifestyle, and they both kind of not to be over dramatic, but kind of both go down together. And then we see a lot of our clients who like they both attack at the same time, and then they work as a team, and they come up with systems together on like how they can continue to progress, which it sounds like you guys have done from what I've talked about with you. And I think that's really, really cool. And the second thing is, the reason why I always kind of poke you guys at the beginning to get a lot of specificity and clarity with where you want to go is because I don't want to assume that like, hey, this is what you want, here's the game plan to get there. I want you to tell me, and then that way I know how to create the blueprint. But when it's a bit more kind of like general, I'll just kind of guess where I think we want to land. And then once we start going, usually then you will have a better idea of like more specifically where you want to go.
Sure.
Which kind of once you start like taking some action. So there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. You just say, hey, I want to get in better shape. And then we start going with it. And then we can always get more specific later, right?
And I think at one point I said to you when we first started working together, like, I'm the sculpture, so just work at it. You do what you think I need with your experience, and I'll trust you. So, and that's kind of the model that we've been going with, and we're seeing great results.
Yeah, that's a good point. And as men, I think sometimes like a lot of guys listening should take a page out of that book of like kind of dropping ego, because sometimes as guys we're like, oh no, we know everything. Like I'm like I don't need to tell me what to do, or I don't need to accept guidance. But like sometimes we need to drop the ego a little bit and say like, okay, if I need to build some serious Excel spreadsheets, I would ask you, and drop the ego and say, hey John, what do you think about this, right? And if you need to fix your car, you ask a mechanic. That's what they specialize in. If you want to get in shape, that's my specialty, right? I don't pretend to be really good at anything else. This is what I do all day long, right? So I think as guys, it's like go to the people that anybody, but typically girls are a little bit better at asking for help from from what I've witnessed. So it's like go to the person that knows how to do the thing or has done the thing, and then like that's the person to ask and help steer the ship. But I think that was one of the reasons why you were, I think, so successful, is like you just kind of follow the plan, right? We've had discussions along the way of like directionality and something, but like you just kind of do what needs to be done. I'd be curious to hear on like your perception of how difficult it was getting in pretty good shape compared to maybe what you would have expected to be like on a range of difficulty.
Oh, it is challenging getting in shape, and it's no wonder I wasn't able to really do it myself. Like if I if I started this journey on my own, just with my own devices, I wouldn't be where I am now. Um, it's challenging, and even the initial cut to rid the body of the fat before we started our bulking phase, like that was hard. It was hard keeping my meals to what it was. You know, I was probably used to eating like 3,000 calories a day before. You know, growing up, I'd never had portion control. So I carried that with me as an adult. And that I think was the hardest part. The gym wasn't as hard getting used to. I had to make it work for myself. But it was the eating that I found was very difficult.
Interesting. But you still were able to have pretty good adherence. So like what was the mentality about like being able to just do the damn thing? And like obviously we had trips in the middle of that. We had
Yeah.
different social occasions, so we would create a bit of a buffer. But like on those days where you were just kind of executing, what was the mindset there?
Um, Honestly, it's the extrinsic motivation because I can only take myself so far, and I found that if I got the help from somebody, so like hiring you as my coach, you know, it's partly I am doing this for myself, but I'm also I'm working with somebody, and I don't want to like I don't want to fail them or fail you. I'm also doing this to be healthy with my wife, so I don't want to fail her. But also, like in all honesty, I paid for it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So I
that's a
paid
good
for it,
point.
so
Yeah.
I want to see the results, and if that's what I need to do to get to where I want to be, pay it. And you know, and we're in our oh
That's okay.
Rachel's
Dogs.
bugging Gary. Um, so yeah, like oh, hi Gary. Hey. Um, so yeah, what was I saying there? You know, if I need to pay to see the results that I want to see, then I'll do that, and that's why we are you know we're on our second term or second engagement or whatever you want to call it together
Right.
because I'm seeing the
Yeah.
results. I'm happy, and I want to see them keep going. So
That's a good point. And there's a great saying. It says, "People that pay attention." And I think a lot of times, like you could technically go find a semi decent workout plan. It's not going to be customized to your gym or your goals or your needs exactly, but like it could be okay, right? Like you could probably find that online or chat GPT at whatever if you know the right prompts. But I think accountability is the biggest thing. And that's why like I talk about this all the time, but I still have a coach. A lot of it is to remove the thinking, but most of it is for accountability. I'm very self motivated already, but even the fact that I know he's looking at my photos and like my training logs and everything, like I know I'm going to be more on point. And I think that's the one thing that people don't realize when it comes to coaching is like that accountability factor. And again, those who pay tend to pay attention, which is yeah, again why you've seen great results so far. And speaking of which, I want to hear like your perspective on where you started compared to where you are now. Like describe your context in terms of your physique, your mindset, your energy. Like tell me a bit about that.
sure, yeah, and I just want to say a note on the you know removing the thinking out of it, right? Like there's a lot of thought that has to go into your macros and making sure you're fitting that. So that's been the most thinking. But yeah, you've removed the workout plan, the thought about the workout plan. I just open the app and I do it, and you know, and then I go home. So that's probably been the easiest thing to adjust to is just because you know the workout's there. I don't have to think about it, and then you change the workout for me. So it's great. Um, the next question was sorry. Can you just
No, that's
repeat
okay.
that?
Yeah, yeah. So no, that's a really good point. I was just saying, like, describing your where you started and then the transformation, kind of where you are now. Because, like, from my perspective, we did kind of like initial fat loss and recomposition phase. Just most people can put on muscle and lose fat at the same time when they're starting from a place where they're not already super dialed in with the variables, I will say. And then we've kind of reversed into a building phase. So I want to hear kind of from your perspective, like how has your physique and like the way you operate evolved from like day one until now that we've like entered into that building phase on the other side.
Yeah. Well, when I started, like I said, I was definitely at my heaviest. Maybe a few pounds short of my heaviest, but I I knew I needed to make that change. I needed to do something. So that's kind of why I was excited. Initially it was hard getting there. You're arguably my activity has increased because I'm working out 4 days a week. I'm eating less because I'm in a fat loss phase. So that was a hard thing to kind of navigate at once, but I was able to do it, and there was also the support in saying it's like, okay, if you ate over your macros once, like on the weekend, like on a Saturday, you're out, you have a beer, or you went out to dinner, and it was hard to control or hard to track. It's not the end of the world, right? You just lock in the next day. So doing that really, really helped me. Obviously, I had to taper back like day to day. I had to taper back what I had to eat, but knowing that every once in a while I could go out and kind of not worry about it, but also not go crazy,
Mm-hmm.
that also helped. But it just kind of it became a routine. Like I think I told you, like, well, when I first started, I was at the rock climbing gym and I wanted to get stronger for rock climbing, but their gym setup wasn't optimal, so I ended up switching to the gym. So that was another change because honestly I don't hate the gym, but I like dislike the gym when it's busy. I hate the gym when it's busy, but it's
Gotcha.
okay when
Yeah.
it's not. So I start going early in the morning. So that was an adjustment, but it just started to become routine. So when it gets routine and you just wake up and you do it, and then you start your day, it becomes a lot easier because it's just you're not thinking about it. It's just something that you do. So I'd say when I first started to probably at the end of the fat loss phase, it took about a good 2 months to adjust to how it went, like how everything was going. And I didn't see results. I didn't start seeing results in myself for a good like 2 to 3 months. You're so used to seeing yourself in the
Every
mirror
day you wake up.
every
Yeah.
day, and I think that's probably one of the most demotivating things about working out is that you don't see the results. And when you do see results, it's usually right after your workout, but then an hour later you're back to kind of looking like putty or whatever it is, right? So it's kind of wrapping your head around that, where it's just, okay, this just needs to be part of your day. You're not doing it for the results. You're doing it for the routine. You're doing it to be healthy. You're doing it for more reasons than wanting to look jacked in the mirror, or like really good at the beach or something like that, right? So it took a while for me to just kind of understand that and come to terms with it, but since I have, it's become a lot easier to adapt. The workouts were hard, but once you started getting used to the movements, and we found more optimal ways of doing things, and I kind of removed some of uh, the old ways of thinking about some of the exercises, because I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think I learned how to do things wrong, or just bad habits kick in.
Or just
Um,
old school knowledge that
mhm,
was used to be floating
yeah,
around. Yeah.
yeah. Um, what you helping me with that, it made it a lot easier. Like just for example, like the bench press, doing
Mm-hmm.
it a certain way, doing it the way that you're telling me to do it, where the bars come down and you like kind of touch the outside of your chest and you lift. I actually found it a lot easier, and I was able to lift more. And over time, it just got better and better. Um, yeah, it's been great. And now that we are in a building phase, I'm actually having trouble eating. And I'm still having that eating problem, but it's like, holy crap, I have like more calories that I
Yeah.
like. I'm so used to eating this. Now I have to try to fill my day with this. So it's like, it's the reverse problem. It's super interesting how just one variable change, and your brain is just like, what the hell do I do?
That's so true. Everybody reports the same thing, but the funny thing is, on paper, it's not like the craziest difference ever. Because like usually we also have this initial bump, and then we kind of like creep things up as the building phase progresses. So maybe like from the deep depths of the fat loss phase to like now, the difference is somewhat significant. But it's funny because yeah, your habits were so geared towards like volume eating and like finding low calorie options and watching the numbers throughout the day. But now you get to the end of the day and you're like, wow, like where's this 400 calories? I got to find something to eat, right? So
No,
it's interesting. Yeah.
no, I've had all my food. I still have to have like 50 grams of popcorn after this.
Oh no, it's a big yeah.
No, I mean it's a big bowl of popcorn, but yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's too funny.
it's totally fun. It's great.
Yeah. And was it cool kind of seeing the way your physique changed overall? Like obviously, yeah, there's that big delayed gratification piece, right? And that's where I think, as you said, people have a tough time because it's your fitness journey is more like long-term investing rather than gambling. Gambling, you could throw something in, you win $100, you're like instant dopamine hit. But investing is a long game, and you kind of have to keep working hard, keep chipping away, and then maybe 10 years later, you're like, oh wow, okay, that worked, right? Same thing in our fitness journey. So you almost have to buy in to the work for those first couple months before you see that first click of results. And that's where I really have to sell you on the idea of, hey, like just keep putting these inputs and then let's then review at this time frame, and then you'll be able to kind of see what's going on with your strength, your energy, your physique. What I guess I'm losing my train of thought, but I think what I was going to ask was how was it kind of seeing once your physique did notice that change? How was that? Was that kind of like, oh, I get it now? Like, were you kind of understanding how the process kind of works to a higher degree?
Yeah, for sure, I do, and especially with like targeting muscle groups because, uh, for example, Rachel was saying since the summertime, so your delts are looking a lot more defined, right? Like the sides of my arms,
Mm-hmm.
like what's that muscle group like? Right
Yeah,
here.
the medial deltoid and the
Yeah,
side
the
delts. Yeah.
medial delt. She's like you're looking wider there, and I'm like I don't see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I have to go back to the photos, like because you asked for the progress pictures, and we don't do them as often now because I guess we're in a building phase. But I sometimes have to go back to the progress photos to see where I was to where I am now. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I was like a cylinder then. Now I'm not a now I'm not a cylinder now.
Cylinder.
I was
Yeah.
shaped like a barrel. Now I'm not
Yeah.
shaped like a barrel. So
Yeah.
it is definitely interesting. Like even sometimes now with all the progress I've made, I'll look in the mirror and be like, is that really that much progress? And then I remember where I was. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a big thing for me was I've almost forgotten about the scale. I know you like the weigh-ins, and I was super um, fixated on the scale at the beginning because I wanted to see that fat roll off, and it was frustrating when you see the ups and the downs, or the ups. The downs are great, but it's frustrating when you see the ups. Now it's like I don't even really look at the scale. And it's funny now that I'm in the building phase. I'll like go on the scale. I'm like, damn it, I'm like 2 pounds lighter than what I was yesterday. I want to go higher.
Yeah.
It's super interesting. Hopefully I answered that question.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's funny because yeah, the reason why I tend to ask less frequent progress pics in a building phase is because the time course of progress is slower compared to in a fat loss phase. Like fat loss happens like this, and building phases you got to be a little bit more patient. But the benefit is that we have more flexibility with food. Typically, training feels a bit better. Where our strength progression is more abundant, I would say, in a building phase. But yeah, I think you got to enjoy every phase for what it is. And the cool thing I like experience or having the client experience that transition from like, okay, we did the fat loss phase and the initial recomp into the building phase, because then you do get to experience both phases. And I find that pattern ends up happening a lot with clients where we're starting, we do fat loss recomp, and then we're entering slowly into building phase. It's almost like it's a very common thing for people. And I think it's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. But we also get to see which muscle groups take off quicker than others and which ones we want to prioritize. Like for you, your triceps are more dominant. They tend to respond a little bit quicker. But then maybe there's some other muscle groups like chest, for example, where okay, we're going to show a little bit more love to those groups. So once we do get lean, it really kind of almost like exposes, for lack of a better term, what our strengths and weaknesses are from a physique perspective. And then that gives me more insights into like how I need to program, like in terms of like for the building phase.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody that, is struggling with that consistency factor? Because I know you mentioned you wake up early to go to the gym and kind of get it done. And like before we started, food was a little bit tough to stay consistent with. What is kind of a mindset reframe that's helped you stay more consistent and just kind of checking the boxes day to day?
What is a mind frame that helps you stay more consistent? In honesty, it's like, okay, well, I've got 4 months left of this engagement. I have to do it. But
Yeah.
obligation aside, it's I don't want to say like you become addicted to the results, but it just becomes part of your day, right? Like, I on my days off, I feel weird not going to the gym now, just because it's just a part of your day. And I think that's almost the secret. Obviously, you provide so much more guidance, but that's almost the secret. It's just like it just needs to become a routine to the point where it's weird if you don't go,
Yeah,
or it feels weird if you don't go. Pardon me, my dogs are going. Oh,
that's
crazy.
okay. The dogs
Okay,
are always
I'm gonna stay
so
here.
cute. Uh,
Oh yeah, this one.
look at that outfit. For those who are listening and not watching, you got awesome. You missed it. You're missing
Yeah.
out.
Oh yeah, honey. Yeah, sorry. She's being attacked by the golden retriever, and they're making a lot of noise. It's hard to focus, so she's gonna have to sit here for now. Yeah, I'd say, what gets me going every day is the biggest thing is routine, and the second thing is, I guess I'm not finished with where I think I want to be.
Mhm.
So.
I like that. I made a post about this earlier this week. A lot of people take action when they're running from pain, whereas I think more people need to run towards curiosity of what's possible, right? Like you have that, oh, this is an unfinished painting that I'm working on right now. Like I think that's also a big driver, whereas a lot of people rely on only running away from pain, like, oh, I hate the way I look, or oh, I'm way too heavy, or oh, like my clothes don't fit me. Like that's great too to get you started. But then once you've kind of scratch that itch, for lack of a better term, then you do need something that's more you're reaching towards. And I think that's almost like a long term, like a healthier way to frame it. It's like, okay, I'm trying to, get to this next level. And just as you said with your progress pics, sometimes you need to refer back to those. Like imagine 3 years of collecting those photos and having different phases over time, like the drastic difference there. And that's where I think a lot of people, even that are serious about fitness, don't take progress pics, which is pretty crazy. And that's why I always ask for them. It gives me a lot of data, but even for that starting point, because it's again context, right? What would
it's
you say for people that are like maybe shy to like track their data along the way, including progress pics?
um
There's extra effort, right?
yeah, it is extra effort. You have to remember to do it. And I think a big theme for me is routine. If I don't turn it into a routine, I'm just going to ultimately forget. But tracking is really the only way you're going to know, because again, you see yourself every day in the mirror, and you do not see those changes after a month. You might see it after 2 or 3 months. You're maybe a little slimmer, but muscle takes so long to build, you're just not going to see it, right? But having the progress picture is just a really good way to level set your.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So obviously, like we did the fat loss and recon phase. Now we're entering into the building phase. Like, what is your kind of vision over the next few months? Like, are you really motivated by the amount of strength? Are you motivated by seeing kind of your physique develop and your silhouette build? Like, what is in your mind, that thing that you're kind of reaching towards in the next few months? I guess.
Yeah, I think what I'm reaching towards is just I don't have a clear thing in mind, because I think this is my first bulk
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
before a cut, right? So
Yeah,
I don't I don't I don't really know. That's the thing. Like I don't really know, and I hate that I'm so like I don't know this, I don't know that, but
that's
it's just
okay.
really, for
That's
me,
okay.
it's just
It's
like
honest.
I'm kind of entering an area that I don't really know much about, and kind of like an unknown. So I'm just like really curious and excited. And hold that thought. Get the heck out of my office.
No
You're
worries. You're
menace
good.
to society.
Both of them are causing trouble. Oh man.
I had
Very
I had
good.
to exile one. Um,
That's okay.
yeah, for me, it's just you're entering an area you've never been. So I'm just like really
Hmm.
curious as to what I'm going to see,
Hmm.
when we finish our bulk and we do a cut. Like, what am I
Yeah.
going to look like? I'm never gonna have looked like this before.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's just, and then following your guidance on, like, okay, you should be targeting this muscle group because you're probably anticipating what I'm going to look like because you've done
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's going to be really interesting.
That's cool. Yeah, because that's true. A lot of people have not done like an intentional building phase, and then reveal that new foundation. And yeah, we can get like I'm pretty sure I said at a certain point I was like, hey, like we could get leaner, but like I'd like to spend a bit more time building muscle, and then we can get leaner. We can always press the fat loss button. That's not a problem. But like you'll never regret having a little bit more of that foundation. And again, goes back to the delayed gratification. It's nice seeing ourselves really, really lean. But if you build in a strategic way, you don't have to put as much body fat on as you think you do. And then remember, you're always kind of like 8 weeks away if you do things properly from being kind of lean again. And then you can kind of cash in on those deposits that you've been making. But I think I like that you kind of address that, because yeah, a lot of people have not done an intentional like building phase while keeping track of their variables. A lot of people just say, I'm just going to eat whatever and lift, and then they get bigger, but they end up putting way more body fat on than they need to. And also, they don't realize that a lot of the weight gain is body fat, and they think they got so jacked. But then when they cut again, they're like, I look the same as last time, which is not ideal, right?
I saw this really. I'll share it with you if it comes across my my Instagram feed again. But I saw this really awesome meme that just kind of put it into perspective. And it's just like an arm. That's all it is. It's just an arm. It's like 3 months, 6 months, a year, 3 years, and 5 years of weightlifting. And it's just like five of the same arm, but after certain periods of time. And like the first three aren't they haven't changed much, just like a little bit of definition. But then when you get into those like those later years, like the arm is like 2 or 3 times the size. And it really puts into perspective just the how much time it takes to really build the body. And if that's where you want to go, like it's not you're not going to see that after 6 months unless you use supplements. But
Yeah, yeah.
you don't want to do that. But after it just takes so long to build, so you almost have to kind of step back and appreciate the process. That it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 2 years. It happens over a long period of time. And if you stay devoted, then you'll see it.
That's cool.
I'm only like 8 months into my progress, and I am seeing results, and I am seeing my body change. And it sure is not as fast as my initial, like my preconceptions thought it would be.
Right. And I know I'm glad you addressed that. And I think it's just because the marketing and the fitness industry is always 8 weeks this, 3 months this. But as you said, it takes time. And if you're doing it naturally, right? If we want to do like a natural physique development, it's kind of like we age like fine wine as natural, I guess, physique developers, right? Like you only get better with age. And the guys that I know, because like my coach in his circle, they're all much older. Like they've been doing this for decades, and some of them are into their 50s, and they're hitting their physique personal best now. Yeah. In their 50s. Whereas society always tells us like, oh, once you hit 40, it's all downhill. Like you might look like that now. I used to be in your shape when I was your age. Like I hear those things all the time, right? But then we see these people who have been living this lifestyle we're talking about, and now they're getting into that age group, and you're like, these guys are still progressing? Like this is wild, right? So the gains might not come as easy, but it's inspirational, because if you're doing this through the use of drugs, you have like a 5-year window before your body's like, all right, I'm done. We're gonna have to come down to a maintenance dose. And I like the idea of, hey, me in 20 years, I'm gonna be even better than I am right now. And that's something that's also inspirational. And I know you guys want to live a specific lifestyle with like hiking and traveling, and it's like, what's gonna allow you to do that way, hopefully even into like your 80s, 90s, I hope, is all the things you're stacking yourself up with habit wise right now.
Exactly. I want to be climbing those mountains well into my 80s. And the second I can't, just don't throw me off it. It's fine. I've had a good life. I'm kidding. But yeah, it's true. It's the long game. The sooner you learn to accept that and live with that, you stop worrying about what you look like day to day, month to month. And yeah, it's just it comes to a point where you just like, I don't care really. And then like I'll just get a comment like, holy crap, you look different. It's like, wow, I'm just me,
Yeah, like I guess I do. Yeah. It's just because it's just the way you operate now, which is where I hope everybody gets to be honest. You instead of chasing results, you chase the inputs, and the results, you just accept the results that then come in response to those inputs. That's the best way to kind of live your fitness journey. Really, really cool insights. I have two more questions for you. The
Sure.
first one is I asked this Rachel too. What's one myth that's been busted since we started working together about like getting in shape?
The whole you have to trick your muscles thing.
Oh, muscle
Uh,
confusion. Yeah.
yeah, like your muscles are going to go stagnant if you don't, switch your exercise every day or whatever the
Yeah.
hell it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
right? That was a big one because the training blocks that you provide are like a month, sometimes 6 weeks at a time. You're doing the same exercises, but like, how could that be true if I started, say I start doing bench press and I'm doing X amount of weight, and then like after the 6 weeks my weight has increased 20-30%. How
Mm-hmm.
have I not gotten stronger? How have I not built muscle? It's
Mm-hmm.
that was a silly one. um, what else? Oh, the eating for sure. um, like I was aware before that you need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. Of course
Mm-hmm.
you do, right? Like you can't eat anything you want and then exercise and expect all that to just kind of fall off. You need to be in a calorie deficit. But even in a bulking phase, um, you know, I thought bulking phases were just like you just gain a whole bunch of weight.
Mm.
Like a pig in a trough, you could just kind of eat
Yeah.
anything you want um, uh, and then you just cut it. But it's not like that. It's a lot more scientific. It's a lot more. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be. I could go that route, but
Good.
um, it's a lot more scientific. It's a lot more calculated, and it's a lot harder than I thought it would be, which I
Mm-hmm.
which I found really really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, so much food! It's like that's how I was eating. I was eating arguably more before I started working out.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
1,000 grams of pasta, like no problem. Um, Now I can't even have 100 grams of pasta because the friggin' macros don't work. No, um, yeah, like that, like just how the body interacts to the inputs and the outputs was definitely something I didn't. It kind of blew my mind once I started to see how it all worked.
Interesting. Yeah. Because
Um,
yeah,
no, go
no.
ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, and if you like your spreadsheets, like it's funny because we have one of our clients, Mark, who teaches statistics. So he actually tracked every single one of his variables in like spreadsheets. Who I should introduce you guys because he was actually asking, oh, does anybody else have all their data? I want to run some like analysis on it. And I was thinking like, maybe you have it, but it's like it is kind of like these are inputs and we get certain outputs, and it is pretty much systematized in terms of that. And like obviously everybody's different and people have different genetics. Like some people are hyper responders and other people like don't respond nearly the same way, and we learn over time and through this data collection we learn your body. Like me knowing how to program for you now and what you need nutritionally is way I have way more insights now than I did when we first started, because I'm just taking my best guess based on the pattern recognition from previous clients and also like what you tell me and just kind of coach's intuition. But now it's like I have a lot more data, so it's like my decisions are a lot easier to make. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
um, which is really cool. Awesome. Really, really good stuff. My last question for you is, what's one truth you realized about yourself throughout this process? It can be literally anything.
What is one truth I learned about myself through this process? That's a good question.
I can tell you what Rachel said, and you can, if that helps,
Oh,
kind of.
yeah, please give me any
So
dirt she said on me.
no, it wasn't on you. She said how handsome John is when he's so muscular. No, she said she said it was her ability to manage everything and still get it done. It was like her ability to juggle and a busy schedule and the traveling and the work stuff and still like check her boxes.
Yeah, I guess that was one side of that I hadn't considered. And for having nothing else in my mind, I'm going to steal that as an answer. Yeah, it's true. Like, you think your day is so busy. You finish work. I don't come home from work. I work from home. But you finish your day. You walk your dogs. You cook your dinner, and then by the time all that is done and you clean the kitchen, it's like 8 o'clock. Like nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants to go to the gym. I'm exhausted and my executive function isn't there. So, you find a way to make it work. If you want it, you'll find a way to get it. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was, well, okay, what about all the time in the morning? I just get up and you do it, and then you just get ready for work. So yeah, like one truth about myself is that despite all of the times that I have failed in my fitness journey. Um, Setting up the right systems is all I needed to do to make sure I succeeded, and doing it long enough to make it routine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I'm a super routine person. So if I can just if I can do it long enough so that now I feel weird not doing it, then I
Yes.
know I can continue to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool.
yeah, that's definitely one. Let me see if I can think of a unique one. You said you can edit this, so
Yeah.
let
Take
me
all the time you want.
I learned that I can tolerate the gym.
Okay. A
um,
busy gym.
no, honestly, a busy gym. Like, there's nothing more that not much more that I hate than a busy
Hmm.
gym. Before, if we started this, I probably would say like that is one of the most hated places ever
Hmm.
be is a
Really?
gym after work. The worst place to be. It's like it's my hell. You're waiting in line to do repetitive motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So that was part of the motivation for me to be able to get up early and to go to the gym, is so that I go to an empty gym. It's just it's like my playground. I can do whatever I want. So that doesn't answer your question.
Well, it kind of does, right? Like you overcame the self-limiting belief or the identity that you're a type of guy who can't go to a gym consistently because of the environment or whatever. But like you kind of figured out your way of still getting that done and showing up,
Sure,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, that works.
And going back to the routine thing, I think it's like you're the type of guy that if you would fall because you have the ability to really latch onto a certain lifestyle, it could work in your favor and like you can be super focused, I think. And then it could also, if you locked in on the wrong behaviors, that could also take you the other way. And I find that a lot with people that can do really well in their fitness journey. Some of them do, some of them don't. Is they do have that mindset where they can get very fixated on things in a certain routine, and it can play in their favor. Where they do that and apply it to the fitness, or they apply it to like make it negative habits, and it goes like it's a runaway train the opposite direction.
My teenage years in a nutshell.
Fair enough. You know the secret, John, is I actually, even to this day in busy gyms, I still have a bit of gym anxiety. And that's coming from a guy who's been training for 14 years. My mom calls me, she says I'm overly sensitive to stimuli, which means I absorb a lot of the things around me. So one of the reasons why I chose a gym I do now, I'm privileged to be able to manipulate my work schedule a bit to go at a less busy time. But one of the reasons why I chose that gym, even though it's further more expensive or whatever, is because there's a lot of open space and there's not many people training around me. So it's like if you're the type of person that is more sensitive to those type of things or your home environment or whatever, it's like try to create the right environment for you. Like for example, I'm gonna go early in the morning. As you said, it's your playground. Don't have to worry about like that's in your control. You can't control like a lot of other things, but like if you can set up your day in a way that's gonna best serve you in terms of the way you operate, in terms of the way you think, your environment, and like do it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess that kind of comes to like a truth is that those limiting beliefs, they're limiting because you can't change them, and you know that's kind of what I did throughout this journey is I changed a lot of limiting beliefs, with just regard to just how well I could routine this. I didn't think I really had it in me to keep this going, but I do, and I'm hoping that even after our engagement, after we're done working together, I hope like the next day I don't turn into the cylinder that I was before. It's like, you leave the room and you're a completely different person. No, I hope I can continue doing this like, forever, because I do feel better. I feel more confident. Despite being awake longer in the day, I have more energy. I'm more motivated to do things. I feel like I'm like showing up more as a person in my day to day. One, because of the positive routine. Two, because I'm watching what I'm putting in my, yeah, and three, I feel better about myself.
That's awesome. That's like music to my ears because that's where I want everybody to get to. And a lot of times people think so much about the body and the fat loss or the muscle gain or whatever, but like this is really the whole entire purpose of like what I'm trying to where I'm trying to get people to is like even without me, you know what to do, and hopefully carry on those skills and systems and mindsets and like I'm not just into fitness goals. I love like self development in general. Like I love just people that set goals. I don't care if it's fitness or I think everybody should have some sort of fitness goal, but like whatever it is, I just like seeing people want to get better. So like hearing that, I think is inspiring for a lot of people at home. And this was a really cool episode. Fires me up. Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to say to people at home, or anything else at all that you want the listeners to hear?
Well, I mean, it's easier said than done, but just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. You know,
Nike says it for a reason.
or Ben Stiller, do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just do
Oh,
it.
that was, and then also Shia LaBeouf was like, what was that thing he said? Do you remember that meme? It was
Oh, the one
like,
where he's screaming at the camera. Oh yeah, that's yeah. See, you just need some good memes to fire you up, and you can achieve anything in life.
oh, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. Perfect place to leave it. Thank you again for coming on. As always, if you guys want to hear more content like this, press the subscribe button. We're going to have a lot more of our clients coming on. We needed to pick it up with showing you guys stories, because there's a lot of cool insights. So I'm glad we're picking up again. Thanks again, John. I guess that's all I have to say for today.
Thanks,
We're good to
Coach.
go.
Yeah, this was fun.